We're still waiting on more information, but we can tell you that a little past 8:30 a.m. here in Kabul, there was a large explosion in what seemed to be an area called Shashdarak, which is in the vicinity of the International Security Assistance Force, ISAF headquarters, and the U.S. Embassy. Let's again state that it was in the vicinity. We can't say how much it has infiltrated the area, and from the images that you've seen, there have obviously been injuries. There have obviously been casualties. This coming 5 days before the second ever presidential elections here in Afghanistan, obviously a sign from the insurgency that they do not want these elections to take place, that they do not want the Afghan people to actually head out to the polls, and they want them to be scared, to be fearful. And this is a sign, after such tight security in the Afghan capital, that they can still infiltrate it, and they've proven their point this morning. And they hope that this will send a message out to the Afghan people to not head to those polls in 5 days. Natalie?
On this, thank you, Atiya. You were just a few blocks away when you heard it. Can you give us more details about what you and the folks in our bureau there experienced?
Well, we were in various rooms in the house. It was 8:30 in the morning. Some people were still sleeping. Some people were at the gym. Some people were having breakfast. And suddenly we felt a strong blast. Our windows started rattling, some parts of the house shaking, and then everyone within that house, as well as everyone in Kabul, ran up to their roofs to see where the smoke would rise from. And we did see it rising from the vicinity of ISAF and the U.S. Embassy, and it wakes you up. It reminds you that you are in the Afghan capital. You're still in a war zone, even though you're living in the capital city, which doesn't see much violence compared to the rest of Afghanistan. That there are ideologies out there that are strong enough to come infiltrate, to come kill Afghans themselves, because whatever their intended targets are, which usually are foreigners, which usually are coalition forces, U.S. Embassy, German Embassy, where we saw a blast just in January, the victims tend to usually be Afghan civilians. They're killing more Afghans than they are killing anyone else. And this ideology that they have is warped in a way because they're just killing people. That's what it is. I mean, these are people that have seen 30 years of war, 30 years of killing, and they're sincerely tired of it. They're tired of seeing their families die. No one wants to see their children die. No one wants to see their parents die. But unfortunately, the Afghan people have been seeing it from one war to another for the past 30 years, and it doesn't show any signs of stopping, at least not anytime soon. Natalie?
And Atiya, prior to this explosion there this morning in Kabul, what has been the general mood of voters who are about to vote in this historic election, the presidential election in 5 days?
Some Afghans did mention the danger of the polls on the day of the elections, but for the most part, what we are reminded of on a daily basis, as I mentioned, is that the Afghan people have been living with the danger for 30 years. They've gone on with their normal lives. If they were motivated enough to vote, they would still head to the polls. Unfortunately, from most of the Afghan people that we spoke to, they feel like the elections won't make any difference in their lives. They don't have a candidate that they feel strongly enough. Some do, the majority don't. But they weren't fearful of an attack like this because they've lived with the danger. But 5 days before the election, this will affect them mentally. Anyone who wanted to head out to the polls might think twice about it because they don't want their wife, their child, their husband to actually go and vote if it means possibly costing their lives. Natalie?
And as far as security in Kabul has been in the past, say, couple of weeks leading up to this election, how would you say people have been moving about the city? Yes, there's a lot of security, but you were saying earlier that you can never forget that you're in a war zone and what's going on.
The Afghan people have been going on with their daily lives every day now. They have to go to work. They have to provide for their family. Their children have to go to school because it's the only future for Afghanistan. So yes, we've had our normal traffic jams in Kabul city. We've seen people on the streets going shopping, going to the marketplace, us ourselves going out shooting stories. We have seen tightened security. We have seen more ANA, that's the Afghan National Army, vehicles. We've seen more police patrolling. And we also have seen a security blimp that I usually see in places such as Helmand province that have been cleared of the Taliban, and they put a blimp over the city to monitor the city to make sure that they can keep it secure. And we've seen that in Kabul this past week or so. And that in itself, it gives you some sort of security when you know that that blimp is up there, because you think that they can stop any kind of suspicious activity. But we learned this morning that it can't stop everyone.